China flooding emergency, Henan underwater buildings. Collapse, mass evacuations begin. It began with a sound, not thunder, not wind, but a deep, violent crack echoing through the valley. Then silence, just long enough for fear to take root. In the next instant, a wall of water exploded from the dam, unstoppable, merciless. Concrete shattered, steel bent like paper. People screamed, sirens wailed, but it was already too late. The river had broken free, and with it, the fragile illusion of safety. Homes vanished in seconds. Streets turned into rivers. The sky, once gray, now reflected only chaos below. This was not just a flood, it was collapse, infrastructure, response, trust. All swept away in the blink of an eye, and it was only the beginning. The river swelled beyond its banks, no longer a current, but a monster. It surged forward, ripping through farmland, villages, entire roads. Bridges collapsed like toys. Cars floated like leaves. People climbed rooftops, waving for help that couldn't reach them. Within minutes, entire districts disappeared under muddy waves. Sewers overflowed. Power lines sparked and died. Water rose faster than anyone could run. The roar was deafening. There was no warning, no time, no mercy. Satellite images showed a landscape rewritten. Streets turned to rivers, parks to lakes, highways to endless broken shorelines. The flood did not choose what to destroy. It simply erased everything in its path. Homes, memories, lives, and it kept moving. The bridge cracked, then crumbled. Within seconds, steel twisted, concrete split. A massive structure, once a lifeline, now a broken memory sinking into the flood. Traffic came to a standstill. Highways vanished underwater. Tunnels filled like bathtubs. Rail lines hung in the air with no tracks beneath them. Emergency vehicles couldn't reach disaster zones. Supplies were stranded, families cut off. Entire cities became islands with no way in or out. The collapse wasn't isolated. One by one, overpasses buckled, drainage systems backed up, airports shut down. China's vast network of movement paralyzed, not by war, not by sabotage, but by water, relentless, unforgiving, unstoppable. Roofs barely peak above the waterline. Streets become rivers, stores, homes. Schools vanish beneath thick brown floodwater. Power lines spark and hiss. Trash floats beside furniture, memories, photographs. Cars bob like toys, then disappear. There is no silence, only sirens, shouts, the roar of water slamming through doors, breaking windows, gutting buildings from the inside. Entire districts swallowed, lights out, communications lost. People stranded on rooftops waving flashlights, hoping someone sees them before the rain returns. This is not just a flood. This is drowning on a national scale. From above, the city is still, but on the ground, it's chaos. A nightmare with no pause, no mercy, and no end in sight. The mountains were once a refuge, but now, even the highlands betray. Heavy rain loosens the soil. Hillsides crumble without warning. Entire slopes collapse in thunderous waves of mud, rock, and shattered trees. Homes perched on ridges are swept away like leaves. Roads are buried. Power poles snap. Whole villages vanish beneath earth and silence. Rescue crews can't reach the trapped. Paths are gone. Helicopters circle above, helpless, as more ground gives way. It happens fast. One landslide triggers another. Valleys turn into graves. The mountains, once steady, now move like liquid. There is nowhere left to run. Not in the city, not in the hills. Disaster comes from every direction and it doesn't stop. The power went out first, then the signal died, and with it so did connection to the outside world. Phones stopped ringing, messages failed to send. Families couldn't find each other. Towns vanished from the map, not underwater but into silence. Rescue teams shouted into radios, only to hear static. No updates, no coordinates, just darkness and isolation. At night, there were no lights, only the sound of water rising. No way to call for help. No one to hear the cries. In a world that runs on electricity and networks, the sudden silence is terrifying. It feels like the end. No power, no signal, no lifeline, just people trapped, waiting, and wondering if anyone even knows they're still alive. They rode through streets that had become rivers, in rubber boats, on makeshift rafts, even on doors ripped from flooded homes, under pouring rain and sirens. Rescuers searched for life. Children clung to rooftops. The elderly stood on tables, water at their waists. Every shout was a cry for help. Every flashlight beam, hope piercing the dark. Some were carried out through broken windows, others lifted from balconies by helicopter ropes. No time to rest. No time to think. Just hands pulling, hearts racing, breath held, and all around them black, filthy floodwater, cold, relentless, rising still. These weren't just rescues, they were miracles, carried out one soul at a time, against the clock, against the storm. Warnings came weeks ago, rainfall patterns, rising river levels, dam stress indicators. But action came late, too late. Who checked the dam's integrity? Who inspected the bridges? Who ignored the red flags on satellite maps? Locals begged for alerts. Officials promised safety. But when the waters hit, the sirens were silent. Now questions echo louder than floodwaters. Why was there no evacuation? Why were cities still lit up, bustling, vulnerable? Where were the emergency drills, the reinforced levees, the public briefings? This wasn't just a storm, it was a collapse of responsibility. And while people rebuild homes, the nation demands something bigger: accountability. The floodwaters have retreated, but the scars remain. Entire neighborhoods reduced to wreckage, roads erased, schools gone, livelihoods shattered, thousands without homes, crops rotting in soaked fields, children searching for toys in the mud. Rebuilding sounds simple, but it's not. Supply chains are broken, power grids crippled, construction materials scarce. Families sleep in tents, waiting for promises. Volunteers dig through debris, praying for miracles. Reopening takes more than bricks. It takes trust. And right now, trust is as fragile as the roads that once stood here. This is not just a recovery, it's a reckoning. Because rebuilding walls means nothing if we don't rebuild better. This disaster will fade from headlines, but the question will remain. Was this a lesson or our final warning? We know the patterns now. The storms grow stronger, the rivers rise faster, the infrastructure ages, the warnings come in too often, they're ignored, we can't control the rain. But we can control how ready we are when it comes. Preparation is not a choice, it's survival. If we fail again, it won't be nature's fault, it will be ours. The next storm is already forming somewhere beyond the horizon. When it comes, will we be ready? Or will we once again watch everything we've built, our homes, our cities, our safety be swept away?